Kevin Haig for a 5-minute call.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. When Sue Kedgley first raised animal welfare concerns in this House, she was met with laughter. These were not considered to be important or serious matters. And I report with pleasure, Mr Speaker, that at least with very few exceptions, all members of the House speaking in this debate today have at least considered these matters to be serious, and I know that that was the tenor of the consideration on the Select Committee. I didn't have the pleasure of sitting on the Select Committee myself, but I want to pick up several of the matters that my colleague Mojo Mathers has raised, and also address a further one. So one of the areas of concern for us, sir, is that the Ministry of Primary Industries continues to be the main agency responsible for enforcing animal welfare standards in farming. And Mr Speaker, that creates a conflict of interest because the agency responsible for animal welfare on the one hand is also the agency that is concerned with maximising farm production on the other. And so that conflict of interest, along with under-resourcing, means that Ministry for Primary Industries cannot be relied upon to effectively monitor or enforce animal welfare standards, especially on factory farms, sir. Currently, fewer than 1% of complaints about breaches of animal welfare standards actually result in prosecutions. The government has already made it plain that it's not going to be addressing that under-resourcing problem with more resources, and that means that that very low level of prosecutions by the Ministry of Primary Industries and the lack of a proactive inspection regime for factory farms are going to mean that much animal suffering on such farms will continue to go unchecked, unmonitored, unenforced. The Green Party therefore supports not only switching the responsibility for monitoring animal welfare standards away from MPI, but also increasing the resourcing for those functions, sir. As my colleague Mojo Mathers has said, the bill is a mixed bag, and in particular a missed opportunity. That while there are some advances in the bill, two of the most important areas, factory farming and animal testing, are largely unaddressed. And those diabolical, appalling standards that exist on factory farms and result in a surge of concern from New Zealanders whenever those conditions are unmasked by usually surreptitious mechanisms from animal welfare activists, because otherwise New Zealanders would never get to see them. Those conditions, sir, will continue. And we are particularly concerned about the continued presence of economic impact and practicality in the matters that must be considered in the casting of regulations. And Mr Speaker, those matters remind me very much of occupational safety and health, where we have adopted a regime that is based on making changes to make workplaces safer where they are practicable. And Mr Speaker, what that regime has resulted in occupational safety and health is shortcuts and failure to make necessary improvements to occupational safety and health because the company concerned would find them to be unaffordable. And Mr Speaker, that is precisely what the dynamics will be that are played out as the regulation under this bill is cast. That farmers who engage in factory farming will continue to engage in those processes because they will find it unaffordable and therefore impractical and too great an economic impact to actually change their practices. So the suffering will continue unabated. And on animal testing, there is no basis for animal testing of cosmetic products The Minister, in his remarks at the beginning of this debate, said he wasn't even aware if it occurred in New Zealand. Well, for goodness sake then, Minister, in your SOP at the committee stage, ban it altogether.
Chris Hipkins.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.